a scientist, an engineer, an innovator, a visionary, a dreamer, a teacher, the people's president, the missile man of India, and of course, the person with the wings of fire, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Hi, Madhvi.
Yeah, fine. What about you?
I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Yeah, today I want to inform you something. We have an interesting talk show. It is related to his famous book, The Wing of Fire. Do you know about it?
Yes, yeah, very good. Today we have our very own talented, young, charming quiz wizard of Preston English High School, Aadhil, and our very own young, talented Conroy, who will join us in the talk show. Let's watch. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Conroy Rodriguez and today I have with me my classmate Aadhil Abdul, the first student ambassador of the International Quizzing Association in Asia for the Middle East. Aadhil, today we are celebrating the birth anniversary of the People's President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. This day is celebrated as the Students' Day in India in his memory. I would like to ask you, which aspect of his life did you find the most inspiring?
Conroy, when we're talking about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he is a positive role model for everyone, and students especially. He has led an extraordinary existence, leading scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization and the DRDO. And he has also acted as the people's president, and he was a very popular president. So he has a lot of aspects in his life which are dear to every single one of us. If you ask me to name one aspect which is significant, then I would say turning around the fortunes of India's defense systems at the DRDO would be a very major aspect, a particular aspect that is noteworthy to be mentioned, because under his leadership, India has now become a self-reliant nation in the field of defense. So that will be my top pick for his particular aspect that has inspired us all.
Thank you, Aadhil. That was a very wonderful explanation. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was also very influential among students and displayed aspiration towards education. In what ways do you think that he portrayed this in his lifetime?
When we're talking about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he has authored many autobiographies of himself, and in these autobiographies we've seen the consistent importance that he places on education. In his autobiographies, we've heard mentions of him using the students as a medium for getting new ideas for his missions, and also he has decided to continue teaching at various reputed institutions such as IIM Indore, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Shillong, etc. So he was a visiting professor after his presidency at these three colleges and also other reputed institutions around the world. So we see a continuous dedication towards guiding students and investing his time in the field of education.
He was also a very enthusiastic writer. So how efficiently do you think he has conveyed his ideas and knowledge through his books that he has written in his lifetime?
APJ Abdul Kalam's books are a must-read. When we're looking at his books, we see a whole variety of books. In books such as Target 3 Million, he is very specific and talks about the goals that India should achieve. Let me take two examples. In his first autobiography, which is titled Wings of Fire, he talks about rocketry in great detail. So when he's talking about his existence and his life at ISRO and DRDO, he is also talking about various aspects of a rocket and a missile. Now these are kind of complicated for the general public, but anybody with a scientific bent of mind would understand these in detail. Compare that to his other book, which is called Turning Points. Now in this book, he talks about his presidency and some turning points that inspired him to be effective in his presidency and also in his decisions. Now these ideas can be understood by the general public because they are general facts and general incidences that happened in his life. So overall, if we're looking at a book and its target audience, then I think that in terms of effectiveness, Dr. Kalam's books were very, very effective.
Now, as we look at his life as an author, which one would be your favorite pick amongst all of the books that he has written?
Personally, I know of 3 of his books. There's always the most popular one, which is Wings of Fire, in that he describes about his earlier life until his work at DRDO in the 1990s. Now, that book is very informative, but I would believe that there is another book which actually steals the title of the one which is to be most read. Dr. Kalam's book titled Turning Points describes his presidency and also some very, very important key decisions of his life. Now, this book is actually a non-linear narrative, so it talks about his life in the past and also while he was at the presidency, so it shifts back and forth. It makes an entertaining read for the general public, so I would definitely recommend Turning Points. But if you are a science student and someone who likes science as a subject and as a job, then I would recommend Wings of Fire as well, because that book is very scientifically oriented.
Yes, Adil, even I am very scientifically oriented and I would love to read The Wings of Fire. What would you have to say about Dr. Kalam's career as the President of India?
As the President of India, Dr. Kalam's career was a very proactive one. In his presidency, he decided to be proactive and to fulfill his duties to the fullest. For example, in the elections in 2004, he decided to start the presidential vote, which was discontinued for a long time. So therefore, he was also actively participating in the democratic processes that happen in India. Also, when you see the bills that come to him, he reviews them strategically and sometimes even sends them back to Parliament in order to be reviewed. So he was very proactive in his role as a president. He also decided to upgrade some of the aspects of Rashtrapati Bhavan. For example, in terms of filing papers, he decided to introduce e-filing to the Rashtrapati Bhavan for the first time. So all of these aspects, and also his immense popularity as a scientist and as a caring president, also makes his career as a president a wonderful one in Indian history.
Indeed, he was one of the greatest presidents India has seen. Dr. Kalam was also very well known as a scientist. He did extensive research in space exploration and national defense, and he made numerous remarkable contributions to India in the field of science. According to you, what are the paramount contributions he made to the country which made an impact on a large scale, not only to the common man, but to the country as a whole?
Now, this is a really interesting question. When you ask about an aspect of Dr. Kalam's life that is also affecting the common man and the scientific community in a very effective way, in a good way, then I would suggest his life at DRDL in Hyderabad was a time-changing and a life-changing episode. Now, most of us remember his work at DRDL as the missile systems that India have. But another important thing that Dr. Kalam did at that time was to shake the rust of the institution. Now, what I mean is that once he reached DRDL, he decided to avoid the policy of reverse engineering, and he decided to make indigenous technology for missiles and other defense systems. So for that, he enlisted the help of universities and PhD graduate students in order to create solutions to some problems that DRDL faced. So he removed the bureaucracy and he made the establishment of an open one in terms of research and development. And also he invited professors, university grads, etc. And some of the most groundbreaking technologies that Dr. Kalam's team has produced over the years have come from various institutions across India. So this is actually a very, life-changing episode, because in terms of the common man, if he gets educated, then he gets the opportunity to work in research and development, which is one of the pioneering sectors in India. And in terms of the scientific community, it means that India has now become self-reliant, at least in the defense industry, when it comes to missiles, satellites, and satellite launch vehicles.
Thank you, Aadhil. That was very informative, and I thank you once again for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
Here is the first student ambassador of the International Quizzing Association in Asia, Aadhil Abdul, and myself, Conroy Rodriguez. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.